Hello, Internet! I'm Omnivorous, and I'm back again with another Universes Beyond Commander for y'all. Today, we're gonna be looking at the latest all-star Voltron Captain America, the First Avenger. Captain America, First Avenger is a 4/4 legendary human soldier hero for red, white, and blue that has Throw. For 3 mana, unattach any equipment from Captain America. He deals damage equal to the equipment's mana value divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. He also has Catch. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. So basically, he circumvents the expensive equipment cost for some of the equipment out there, and then if they are nice and heavy in the mana cost, he can throw them at your opponent and their creatures and their planeswalkers and just do devastating damage in the process. So to lend Cap a hand, we've got lots of good equipment, including his shield. We have tons of ways that we're gonna benefit from the equipment outside of Cap, and then we also have ways to auto-equip and get the equipment back from the graveyard if necessary. And since Cap can't do it all himself, we will have some alternative Voltron creatures that we can use. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at are going to be our card draw engines. 2 of our best are going to be Shram Senior Seer and Pure Steel Paladin. Both of them are going to draw us cards whenever we play equipment, but the Paladin is the better of the two by far. It's going to trigger whenever an equipment enters, not just when it's cast, but it also has Metalcraft. Equipment you control have Equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts, so we will be able to move around our equipment with it. Our other main card drawing engines are going to be through combat. Cassandra Eagle Bearer, Arana the Heart of the Spider, and Nahiri Forged in Fury all will give us card advantage whenever we hit our opponent. Cassandra does require you to hit the opponent with a creature that is equipped with a legendary equipment, but she does get you a legendary equipment when she comes out. Arana, Heart of the Spider, will exile the top card of your library until the end of turn and let you cast it if you hit the opponent with a modified creature. Modified creatures do include equipped creatures, so as long as your creatures are equipped, you will be able to trigger Arana. And she does give a +1/+1 counter to a creature when they attack, so that's a good way to get modification as well. And Nahiri doesn't even need to hit the opponent. She just has, whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of turn. You may cast equipment spells this way without paying their mana cost. So if you attack with equipped creatures and you hit equipment, you're gonna get more equipment to put on other creatures to get more cards and just keep the engine going. Nahiri is great. But if you didn't want to jump through all the hoops that those other 3 make you jump through, you can just always play Enduring Curiosity. This 4/3 Cat Glimmer is amazing. It has Flash. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And like all of the Enduring cycle, it will come back as an enchantment if it happens to die. Now, if we don't want to dig through our deck by drawing, we can always just grab what we want directly by tutoring. And luckily for us, there are tons of effective equipment tutors available. 3 creatures any Voltron deck should be using if they can are going to be Cloud, Midgard Mercenary, Kellen, the Fey-Blooded, and of course, Stoneforge Mystic. All 3 of these will tutor up a equipment for you. Kellen goes on an adventure to do it, while the other 2 do it when they enter, but they get you exactly what you need when you need it. Cloud is a 2/1 Soldier Mercenary for 2 white that has, as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. This is great because it means all of our special sword triggers will trigger twice. Stoneforge Mystic is a little more straightforward. It has, of course, the tutor ability when it enters, and then it can pay 1 and 1 white and tap, and then allow you to put a equipment from your hand onto the battlefield, making some of the more expensive equipment a lot cheaper. Kellen, like I said, goes on an adventure to get his equipment, but then when he comes down, he's a 2/2 double striker that has other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to Kellen. So that double strike makes him a super effective body to put equipment on, and then he'll buff up the rest of your team. And of course, we have the very basic tutors of Open the Armory, Steel Shaper's Gift, and Fabricate. All of these guys do basically the same thing. They're gonna look through our deck and get us whatever equipment we need or want at that time. Rounding it up, we also have Fighter's Class. This one's my favorite because it is very versatile. When Fighter Class enters the battlefield, it's gonna get us our equipment to hand, which is really nice, and then it can level up, which will reduce the equip cost of all of our equipment, and then it'll level up again and can make it so that you can force a creature to block one of your attacking creatures. This will take heat off of Cap, as well as maybe force somebody to block with something they don't want to give up. It's really nice. It's really fun. We're drawing, we're tutoring, we're doing all this stuff. What are we going to be getting with all of this action? So the first and foremost thing that we got to look at is going to be Excalibur. Excalibur. Yeah, that's right. Excalibur. This is honestly the single reason that people are afraid of Cap when they see him at a table, and I honestly don't use it in my deck for that reason, but we have to talk about it. Excalibur is a legendary equipment that gives +10, +0, and vigilance, and has equipped to legendary creature 2, which is fantastic, but it also happens to cost 12 mana just to cast it. This does get reduced by the total mana value of historic permanents you control, which are going to be artifacts, legends, or sagas. So it can eventually get to the point where it's free, which is really nice. But what makes everybody apprehensive about this when they see it at the table is that since it does cost 12 mana, for 3 mana, you can shoot that 12 damage at anything you want, and you can keep doing this relatively cheap. It's going to be 5 mana total to repeat this process, 2 to equip, and 3 more to do the throw and shoot people. So that's why people don't like seeing this with Cap, and it's one of the reasons I don't really use it, because it feels almost like cheating. It's just that good to be able to hit with a +10 Cap and then be able to shoot for 12 is amazing. But I will not tell you not to use Excalibur because, again, it's amazing. Excalibur from the United Kingdom. Moving on, we've got Argentum Armor and Ultima Weapon. These are going to be very similar cards. They're going to give us a huge buff to Cap and then let us destroy something when we attack. The big differences are that Argentum Armor only does +6/+6, only +6, and then lets you destroy any permanent, whereas the Ultima Weapon does +7/+7 and destroys specifically creatures. With both of these being relatively high cost at 6 and 7, they can also deal a lot of damage with Cap's throw ability. Another great equipment that we have to throw at our opponents is gonna be the Genji Glove. This thing is a 5 mana equipment that gives double strike to the equipped creature and has whenever equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap it. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Partnering well with the Genji Glove is gonna be the Reaver Cleaver. It is a 3 mana equipment that has equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. The Reaver Cleaver is amazing in Cap. It comes down fairly cheap. You circumvent its 3 mana equip cost with Cap's catch ability, and then it'll generate mana for you to equip other things or cast other equipment later. Now, you really can't go wrong with any of the swords, which is why you just want to throw in at least 2, maybe 3 of the different Sword of X and Y into your deck. All of them are amazing except for maybe like 1 or 2 of the 10. To that end, I personally went with the Sword of War and Peace because it's Cap's shield and it looks awesome. Having Cap's shield on Cap, it's gonna give +2/+2 and has protection from red and white. And then whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, this equipment deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand, and you gain life for the number of cards in your hand. Pretty cool. You're gonna get a lot of life and deal some extra damage. The other sword I want to really note is actually going to be Sword of Hearth and Home. I feel like it's one of the underrated swords simply because that blink ability is very, very effective when you need it to be. In the case of this deck, I tend to blink Cloud or Stoneforge Mystic to redo the tutor effect and get more equipment into my hand. Of course, the main reason to use the swords is the protection, so the protection from green and white on Hearth and Home is nothing to sneeze at either. In the lines of giving protection to Cap, we also have the Hammer of Nazan. Hammer of Nazan is pretty great. It's gonna give +2/+0 and indestructible, and then it'll allow itself to auto-equip, as well as any other equipment that come onto the battlefield after it to auto-equip when they enter. And lastly, we have the Ether Spark and the Buster Sword. Both of these are going to give us a ton of card advantage and mana advantage. With the Ether Spark, it has the 3 different abilities, plus to give a +1 counter and equip it to a creature, -5 to draw 2 cards, or -10 to create 10 mana. So it is kind of a universal, I'm gonna buff my dude, I'm gonna draw cards when I need to, I'm gonna get that mana because I need it now. As long as it is attached to a creature, it cannot be attacked, and whenever it deals combat damage on your turn, it will get extra counters. So it will auto-equip with Cap's catch ability, and then get a ton of extra counters and allow you to immediately draw 2 cards. With the Buster Sword, it's going to give +3/+2, and then has whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost. Again, this is looking to give us card advantage and mana advantage, allowing us to circumvent the cost of one of our more expensive spells. It doesn't even have to be the spell that you draw off of the Buster Sword's attack ability, or it doesn't have to be the card that you draw off of the Buster Sword hitting the opponent. It can be anything in your hand as long as the cost is less than the amount of damage that Cap has done. Now, we can't expect Cap to do it all himself, so we've got some backup Voltron creatures for you.
Put on the suit.
Yep.
Best is gonna be Halvar, God of Battle. Halvar is a 4/4 for 4 mana that has creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. So he's going to give your equipped creatures double strike, and then at the beginning of every combat, he does one of Cap's free equip ability. He also happens to have Sword of the Realms on his back. So instead of casting Halvar, you can pay 1 and 1 white to cast Sword of the Realms. It is a equipment that gives +2/+0 and vigilance, and then says whenever equipped creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. It's a nice way to protect your things, but let's be honest, we're here for Halvar. I want to talk about 2 underrated Voltron alternatives that I put into this deck in Sentinel Sarah Lyons and Alexios Deimos of Cosmos. Sentinel Sarah Lyons is a 4/4 human knight for 5 mana that has haste. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, creatures you control get +2/+2. She also has Battalion. Whenever Sentinel Sarah Lyons and at least 2 other creatures attack, Sentinel Sarah Lyons deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. So as long as you're playing artifacts, she's going to be buffing your team. And as long as you're attacking with at least 2 other creatures in her, she's going to be shooting your opponents and really adding to that clock. And if we're talking about a quick clock, we also have Alexios.
Steliocontos!
Alexios Deimos of Cosmos is a 4/4 with trample for 4 mana that has Alexios Deimos of Cosmos attacks each combat if able, and can't be sacrificed and can't attack its owner. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player gains control of Alexios, untaps it, and puts a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. This guy is very similar to Slicer. He gets to pass himself around to all of your opponents and forces them to hit each other with him. Now, personally, I like Alexios a little bit better than Slicer. Slicer has Double Strike, which is great and all, but Alexios has Trample, which makes it always a difficult choice on how you're gonna block. You're not really going to chump him out, especially since he starts as a 4/4, becomes a 5/5 the next time he goes to an opponent, and by the time he comes back around to you again, he is now an 8/8 and ready to go. What's also good to note about Alexios and Slicer is that if they happen to be equipped with sword-like effects, unless the effect is specifically granting the creature the ability, that effect will trigger for you as the owner and controller of the equipment. Let me repeat that. As long as the effect is not specifically bestowed to Alexios, you get the effect whenever Alexios hits an opponent. This includes the Buster Sword, the Swords of X and Y. All of those, when Alexios hits your opponent, you get the effect because you control and own those cards, and they do not actually give Alexios the ability. They trigger when Alexios hits. Just another reason why I went with Alexios over Slicer, because the trample does mean he's much more likely to get through. Rounding out our Voltron creatures, we've got Lightning, Army of One, Knuckles the Echidna, and Iron Man, Titan of Invention. All of them have some great keywords to support them. With Lightning, you get First Strike, Trample, and Lifelink. She also has Stagger whenever Lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn. If a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. It's good to note that players that are hit with Lightning have the double damage dealt to them by all sources, not just yours, but if your other opponents happen to attack them, they will deal double damage to that player as well. Knuckles has Double Strike, Trample, and Haste, and whenever one or more creatures you control deal damage to a player, create a treasure. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 30 or more artifacts, you win the game. Now, the chances of us winning with Treasure Hunter are minuscule, that's not important. The big thing is Double Strike, Trample, making this a great guy to put swords onto, and then if you happen to hit the opponent, you start getting mana and banking treasure. And Iron Man has Flying and Haste. He's a 4/4 for 5 mana. And then he has whenever Iron Man attacks, you create a treasure token. Then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Iron Man has been likened to the artifact version of Birthing Pod or a creature version of Repurposing Bay, whatever you want to think of him as. That's him. He's a 4/4 flyer that whenever he attacks, he's gonna start grabbing you stuff. And the great thing about it is since he creates the treasure, you don't have to sacrifice anything off of your board if you don't want to. You can just start the snowball rolling with sacrificing the treasure. And often you can grab something good, like, there's always Soul Ring, but there's a few really good one-drop artifacts and equipment that you can get. Equipment is popular, and artifacts can be used in any commander deck as long as they don't have mana pips in them or in their cost, so some of these cards can get very expensive. We've got some alternatives for you. So looking at both of our creature tutors, Stoneforge Mystic and Cloud Midgard Mercenary, both of these are a little pricey. We're gonna swap them out. Stoneforge gets cut for Mr. Gutsy. Mr. Gutsy gets big and gets us card advantage. And Cloud will be cut for Phyrexian Metamorph, because sometimes a clone is as good as a tutor. Halvar, God of Battle, gets cut in favor of Lizard Blade so that we can keep some double strike going. Iron Man gets cut for the Rohirrim Chargers. The Buster Sword is replaced with the Sword of Vengeance. We replace the Ether Spark with Mendicant Core Guide Light. And we lose the Sword of Hearth and Home in favor of the Machinist Arsenal. And since people liked it before, I went ahead and made a full budget list that I will put in the description. Alright, I hope y'all enjoy Captain America. He's a lot of fun, he's very unique, but not oppressive Voltron kind of guy, so definitely been jamming him in some pods lately. Let me know what you like about Captain America in the comments. Please like and subscribe to keep up with the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will catch y'all next time.
All those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. If he's led to a fight and a duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
I understood that reference.